hopefully. There we go. Okay. So today, again, is going to be very much similar to yesterday, still dealing with parabolas in P form and all of that. We're just going to do some more examples together, and then you guys will get a chance to get some more practice with it. So here we go. 7.1 parabolas continued. Okay. So yesterday we learned parabolas in P form. You're probably still going to want to have those notes nearby that have all of your different formulas and things like that for the vertex, the focus, the directrix, given which direction it opens. But from here, we're going to do an example with vertex and directrix, focus and directrix, and then focus, which direction it opens, and a point it contains. So with that, first example of the day. We are given that the vertex is 3, -4, and the directrix is y equals -7. Okay, so based off of this information, go ahead and draw a graph really quick with the vertex and the directrix. So there's the vertex. There's the directrix. Based off of that, is this parabola going to open up, down, left, or right? What do we think? All right, we got to vote for up. Anyone else? Opinions? Yeah. Yep, I agree. This thing is going to open up. We know that because the vertex here is above the directrix, and the directrix is a horizontal line. So we know that this thing is going to look something like this. Wow, it's really coming down outside. That's going to make sports practices fun today. Anyways, so there's our vertex and our directrix and our parabola opening up. That tells us we're going to use a set of equations. X minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k for our p form of this parabola. So now we need to figure out h, k, and p. As always, whenever we're trying to put something into this format, these are the three things that we are looking for. So first off, just looking at the vertex and directrix, what's h going to be? Anyone think they know? Or remembering from yesterday, we know the vertex is hk. So if the vertex is hk, what's h going to be? Yeah, 3. And then k will be -4. So h is 3, k is -4. Now all we have to do is figure out what is p. And so to figure out what p is, that's where we have to use the directrix. And in this case, remembering back to our notes from yesterday, if directrix is y equals something, it's y equals k minus p. So we know that -7 is equal to k minus p. And we know what k is. We know k is -4. So if I add 4 to both sides, we get -3 equals -p. So that means that p is 3, which should be the case because we saw yesterday from that little Desmos widget thing that if p is positive, it opens up. If p is negative, it opens down, which kind of goes with what we had talked about a long time ago with parabolas and whether or not they're reflected when we were doing transformations of functions. So anyways, good thing p is 3. It makes sense. So now all we have to do is plug in those 3 things. H is 3, P is 3, and K is -4. So we get x minus 3 squared. 4 times 3 is 12. And then y minus -4 is y plus 4. So there we go. That's how we would do it with a vertex and a directrix. Any questions from that one? Any numbers we're not sure where they came from or anything like that? All right. Then let's do one with the focus and the directrix. Focus and directrix. This time, we'll do the focus is 5, -1, and the directrix is x equals 1. Okay, so just like last time, let's draw a picture of what is going on and decide which direction this thing opens. So draw your picture. And then in the chat, is this going to open up, down, left, or right? Are we opening up, down, left, or right? What do we think? All right, we have a couple votes for right. Anyone else? Do we agree, disagree? Yeah. This one is going to open to the right. We know we've got this directrix and we got the focus here. So the parabola is going to be in between the two. The vertex will be in between the two. And we don't want to like cross the directrix or something. So our parabola is going to look something like this. Okay, so with that, we know we've got one we're working with that opens left to right. So we're dealing with y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h. And as we did last time, we are looking to find h, k, and p. So looking at our focus and our directrix and everything like that, see. We can't figure out h yet until we do an equation, but what's k going to be? From the focus, what do we think k is? -1. Exactly. Because the focus is h plus pk, and the directrix is h minus p. So we already know that k is -1. So now we have to set up our equation and solve for h and p. So we're going to have two equations, two unknowns. 5 equals h plus p, and 1 equals h minus p. And then we can do the same thing where we add the equations, kind of like we did in one of our homework problems from yesterday. The p's go away. We get 2h equals 6. So that means that 3 is h. Then we just plug h in here, so we can go 5 equals 3 plus p. So that means that p is 2. And then once we have h, k, and p, we just plug them in. We've got h is 3, k is -1, and p is 2. So then we are dealing with y minus -1, which is plus 1 squared, equals 4 times 2 is 8 times x minus 3. All right. Any questions from that one? Any numbers we're not sure where they came from? Okay. Then one more. This one's going to be the kind that's a little bit more difficult. Just because it's one that involves more of a directions and containing a point and stuff like that instead. So here we go. Let me find the one I'm looking for here, so I know it works out okay. We'll go. Don't like didn't do this one yesterday, did we? No. Okay. So we're good then. The focus, sorry, is 1, 4. We're going to say opens down and contains -3, 1. Okay. So for this one, the focus opens down, contains -3, 1. The fact that it opens down tells us that we're working with x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k. It also tells us that our focus is hk plus p, and that our directrix would be y equals k minus p, but we don't have the directrix yet, and opens down, contains -3, 1. So this is where the kind of problem that we plug in the x value and the y value and the h value, and then we solve for p in terms of k, and then use that to, or k in terms of p, and use that to solve for p. And once we get p, then we can find k. So to start us off here, we know that h is 1, so we're going x minus 1 squared equal, or sorry, not x, -3 minus 1 squared equals 4p times 1 minus, and then we know that 4 equals k plus p. So that means that 4 minus p is equal to k. So I'm going to plug in 4 minus p in parentheses. Don't forget the parentheses because we will need to distribute that negative. So we get 4p times 1 minus 4 plus p, which means it's 4p times -3 plus p. So if we distribute, we get -12p plus 4p squared. And then here we have -3 minus 1 is -4. -4 squared is 16. Then we have a quadratic to solve. So I'm going to move everything over to one side. So we're going to get 0 equals 4p squared minus 12p minus 16. And then in this case, we can factor out 4 because all of those were divisible by 4. So 4 times p squared minus 3p minus 4. Then looking for things that multiply to -4 and add to -3. Well, that would be -3 and, or sorry, -4 and +1. So we factor this to p minus 4 times p plus 1. And then we set each of these individually equal to 0. So p minus 4 equals 0, p plus 1 equals 0. So we get p equals 4 and p equals -1. If we know this opens down, which p value am I going to use? Am I going to use 4 or -1? We got to vote for -1. Anyone else? Yeah, -1. And that's because it opens down. So opening down means that p is going to be negative. So now we have h, we have p, we need to find k. So I'm going to take this -1 value and plug it back in up here. We know that 4 minus -1 is equal to k. So that means that k is 5. So now we know h is 1 from our focus. K is 5 and p is -1. So now I'm going to plug those things in. We get x minus 1 squared. 4 times p is -4. And then y minus 5. There we go. Any questions from that one? Any steps we're not sure about? Anything we don't know where it came from? Okay. So, like I said, there's 3 more examples that we can use to practice with and to reference when we're doing our assignment. Today's assignment is another worksheet. This one, we're doing numbers 1 through 6 on the first page, which is the whole first page. And then on the second page, we're only going to do numbers 1 and 5. So on the second page, if you feel led to do more, feel free. Or if you'd like more practice, but number 1 and number 5 are what we're going to do at least on the second page. These are more real world type example or type practice problems, but they are all still on this theme of parabolas in P form. So there's that. I will post it here. And then if you guys have questions or want to talk about any particular problem, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, you guys are free to go and enjoy the rest of your day.